Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and welcome for joining us for this final session here on the WHX Future X stage. This is like I said, the last session of the day. Delighted that it's going to be moderated by Ashwin Joshi, who is Director at startAD NYU Abu Dhabi. Ashwin's going to be in conversation with Syed Ali Mehdi. He's Director and Head of Innovation and Scientific Partnerships, Middle East and Africa at Siemens Healthineers. In Syed's session, they're going to be looking at turning healthcare challenges into AI innovation opportunities, learning lessons from the field. They'll be exploring how real-world problems in hospitals and universities have been transformed into impactful innovations and initiatives, along with practical frameworks others can use and, of course, do the same. So please join me in welcoming our moderator for this session, Ashwin Joshi.
Good afternoon, everyone. When you look at what conversations happening today across the stage, I think one thing is very clear. The conversation in healthcare is really shifting in a big way in the coming years. Today, primarily, most of the healthcare spending is focused on sickness, which includes hospitalization, surgeries, treatments. By 2040, majority of the growth is not going to be delivered by sickness, but investments in wellness. This includes prevention, predictions, personalized care. Countries like the UAE, Saudi Arabia are really adopting a top-down national strategy to accelerate this wellness-driven healthcare model. Key enablers of this wellness model include genomics, investments in leveraging AI for personalized medicine, and large-scale digital health and longevity initiatives. AI, the topic of today's discussion, by no means is the only technology, but it is poised to accelerate this shift into a wellness-driven economy. Today, we are in a unique position to really learn about this from a company that has been pioneering health innovation for 125 years. It's my distinct pleasure to welcome Syed Mehdi, the Director of Innovation Scientific Partnerships at Siemens Healthcare. Syed, welcome. So Syed, since we have a limited time on the clock, why don't we launch into the topic of today's discussion? The objective of today's talk is to really demystify AI's role in health innovation. We'll begin by exploring specific areas where AI is poised to create significant outcomes. We'll then peel the layers back and look at the process that it is involved in actually building and creating these health opportunities for innovation. We then discuss the role of collaborations and stakeholders in this ecosystem. So Syed, right off the bat, while healthcare outcomes are usually the right way to talk about innovation, could you walk us through some of the healthcare challenges where Siemens Healthineers AI-enabled solutions are uniquely positioned to deliver significant improvement in care delivery?
Thank you, Ashwin, for having me here, and also the team. I would like to thank you. It's an honor for me to be here and talking about this very important topic, that how we can transform the healthcare challenges into innovation opportunity. And then before we going into the innovation opportunity part, I just want to take 1 minute and talk about innovation itself. We talk about innovation that could be implemented in different ways. There are different processes. But if you see what is the first step for innovation, and generally people say it's identifying of challenges or having the right vision, having the team, and then multiple approaches. But what we identified, one of the, let's say, basic step or the first step for innovation is having the mandate. If you have the mandate, then you can work as a team on AI solutions or any other innovation projects as well. And also giving us a mandate to talk today and share our experiences from the field. And so really like to thank the organizers, startAD and Zaka team for having me here. Now, if I talk about the AI at Siemens Healthineers and a very high level overview about Siemens Healthineers as well, who we are and what do we do. So Siemens Healthineers is leader in majority of its business. We are having just some numbers, close to 72,000 employees and present in 70 plus countries, generating a revenue of 22 billion euros, close to 22 billion, yeah. And one of the key points is innovation and research is part of our corporate DNA. And we spend close to 9 to 10% of our annual revenue in research and development. So it close to maybe 9 to 10 billion euros itself. It's a very significant amount of focus on research and innovation. And that cannot go now without AI. Is also one of the key push as well. So far we have more than 24,000 plus IPRs while working for so many years, and the different domains where we are active, and then connecting it back to the AI topic. So we are having main three focus. So one is more about the patient twinning, where the technology can support in precision diagnosis and selection of therapy. The other part would be more on the precision therapy part, where they are image-guided solution that could really solve the most of the relevant healthcare challenges. And last but not the least, the backbone, and AI, that how we enable this. And in terms of AI integration, it's also at different stages. Some of our products are already AI focused product, but some of the solutions are also in the phase that there is an existing solution and we did modification and implementation. Some concrete examples, we are having a solution like it's called AI Rat Companion. That is basically a multimodality imaging clinical decision support system that looks into MR for brain, MR for prostate, chest CT, and so on, and giving a let's say very high precision for the diagnosis of certain lesions and depending on use cases. On the other hand, this is more on the product side, but also how it is integrated. It's we are also having our MRI, it's from past many years. I mean, we are one of the pioneers also in the field of medical imaging. And then we incorporated AI into the solution itself. So we are having a product called Deep Resolve, which is part of existing Siemens Healthineers MRI scanner, and it optimizes the reconstruction of image using deep learning and increasing productivity up to 70%. So that's also another way how we are integrating AI. Yeah?
A quick follow-up question on that. I'm hearing that, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, that many of the innovations within the company, especially when it comes to AI, are looking at increasing the productivity or efficiency of existing products. How many of the solutions that you're exploring are of completely new products or completely novel that haven't existed in your portfolio?
There are many products within Siemens Healthineers. I can say proudly, we are having 84 products that are already AI enriched with one or the other solutions. Of course, digital twinning and these other areas we are investing a lot also in the research and innovation field, but also integration. I mean, as I was talking about in MR, in CTs, and in X-ray products, there are multiple level of integration what we are already doing. Yeah, I mean that's the complete perspective of the integration.
And generally, when you look at AI as a field, the core need, of course, you can work on models, but it is said that without data, AI
Yeah.
really doesn't move.
Yeah.
We also have seen a lot of initiatives from the local governments in Saudi and UAE to really create a localized pool of local Emirati or Saudi data. What makes UAE and KSA so special in healthcare at this point in time when you look at all the trends across the markets in multiple other geographies?
I mean, it's really a great part to be part of this healthcare innovation ecosystem we are in UAE and also in Saudi Arabia. And you see, there are very different initiatives. And the first part, what I really appreciate is how well is the vision from the country organization being set. If you talk about UAE, it's more about Vision 2031. In Saudi, we are having Vision 2030. So setting up the stage for transformation, that's one of the key point, yeah. But there are also other areas like the government initiatives and supports that's also coming in that plays really a major role. And last but not the least is that I would say infrastructure readiness. That's act as a key player for any of the AI project, because as you was talking about data, it's very crucial, and it's not just the data but the, let's say, curated data in the right format. That's very important. And we have in UAE Nabit platform that really gives you an access for connecting 52 hospitals across Dubai, which itself is a quite unique solution. And from Siemens Healthineers, we are happy to be part of it in our partnership with Dubai Health. And in Saudi, you are having Nafis platform that's also connecting or providing the data set that could be used. So I would say these are the top three, I would say, priorities. Yeah.
If you now look at the process and the practice of innovation itself at Siemens and in general across the sector, you've been able to work across governments, hospitals, universities. You work with several external innovators. From a lens of actually looking at building AI solutions and partnerships for implementing some of these projects, what has your process been? What has the approach been? How do you start? If you could give us a very clear view of what does the process look like?
I mean, that's a very good question and very important one, because what we believe at Siemens Healthineers, we win together. And then that's also different processes, different compliance, regulatory. There are so many stakeholders that they play their own role in setting up these innovation partnerships and research partnerships as well. So, but one key point here I would like to highlight is especially if we talk about AI partnership. So we should not use AI as a tool and then try to find a particular, that's a challenge we can solve. But looking into the disease perspective, so from Siemens Healthineers, we do have a dimension where we focus on the complete disease pathway, if it's related to prevention, early diagnosis, treatment, follow up, and across the disease pathway. Then how we can partner and how we can bring new research, we can bring new solutions. So looking into that perspective, it's something very important. And in terms of concrete partnership, I would say we are having a Siemens Healthineers Global AI Factory, where we have partnership with multiple healthcare institutions, where we are working together either to deploy or create our solution, but also sometimes also to get the data from the institutions. And we do have our central, let's say, AI warehouse or factory, we can say, in Princeton, in USA, where we are having our supercomputer. So main annotation, or it's done also in different locations. So that's our center. But we do have our spokes in Erlangen, where GDPR sensitive data is being managed, and China, and so on. And in this way, we are able to have more than 85 solutions I was talking about for AI. And also, we are having the data set for more than 2 billion curated data, again, coming from imaging, from lab reports, from genomic, and so on. So providing us the platform. And then, of course, we work together with our partner institutions to define how we win together. Yeah, that what is the benefits from Siemens Healthineers we can get from a research or innovation partnership. Also on the same side, how we can, how the university, hospital can get benefit. So it's we win together as well. Yeah.
So maybe could you help us understand this process a little deeper with one use case or an example? Maybe if you could go to the extent of helping us know how long does it really take? What are the challenges of this process? Do you end up, if let's say you're working in diagnostics and
Yeah.
imaging, what does it really take to identify partners? How many partners do you have across the value chain? Some
Yeah.
examples would be really helpful.
Yeah, so partnership is, as I was saying, very important. We are having more than 2,400 plus clinical and research partners across the globe. And if I talk about Middle East and Africa, where I'm responsible for, we are also having more than 40 partnerships. We are sitting in Dubai, so I'll talk more about UAE itself. We are having very proud partnership with New York University, Abu Dhabi, where we have been working since 2017 on multiple research projects, mainly in the area of neurodegenerative diseases, with one of our KOL there. And also, we are now trying to establish our research partnerships with different healthcare institutions. But as I was saying, the point is we need to focus on the pathway. So, like MS is a big topic, yeah, and also a priority for UAE. So that's the area we want to target. And of course, we can come up with some different project examples, how we can optimize with using either, I mean, it's multimodality, if it's related to MR with imaging sequences, or we are using our few of our assays to have the laboratory part and combining these studies. So that's the approach, but of course there are multiple layers. If we talk about legal processes, we are having identification of the partner you mentioned about, so we know who are the right stakeholders, where we do have our equipments and services, and with that act as a platform or tool to do research. Because without the platform, without the necessary equipments, it's very difficult to do a research. Yeah.
And speaking of partnerships, one thing that really comes to my mind is over the last decade or so, the external innovation, the early stage innovation ecosystem in the region has really exploded. Now with the availability of data sets from the government, the ability for us to really take AI mainstream. AI was always a tech that many of you have already used. What has happened over the past few years is that has really become democratized. And with the democratization of AI, the AI skills, this pool of external innovators has really shot through, right? From that lens, with the democratization of these tools and skills, has your external innovation strategy changed, or do you expect that to evolve? And in what ways do you see this particular surge of AI skills, AI talent, AI technologies, and even data to really change or evolve your way in which Siemens works with the external innovators?
Yeah, I think that's also a very important question in terms of the partnership or collaboration, external or inclusivity, partnership inclusivity, if we talk about. So, of course, we are having a very, from Siemens Healthineers, we have very broad domain of our products and services, if it's related to imaging, if it's related to therapy part, or even in the radiation oncology part or the lab side. And then again, connected through digital and innovation. But we do see that there are certain areas that we can definitely address with our portfolio. But of course, there are certain areas that are currently beyond our portfolio. And in such cases, we do collaboration with external organizations. And I just give you some one concrete example. So there is an AI company called Cure AI, and that's basically an clinical decision support for certain, let's say, use cases like tuberculosis and other. And we identified, let's say, in LMICs, infectious disease like TB is one of the major challenge. And from Siemens Healthineers, we do have our equipment like X-ray equipment, like the first source of imaging that we can have. And then we partnered with Cure AI, and then we are trying to address this problem together. So it's also another level with the integration of AI, how we are partnering, how we are expanding the portfolio with the purpose to address the clinical needs, because that's our focus. And we are happy to do this in multiple countries, not just in the LMICs in Africa, but also in other countries.
But what really motivates you to, let's say, partner with something like a QREI? Is it that Siemens does not have the tech talent or the technology? Why? What creates a use case for this partnership?
I mean, there are multiple factors for partnership. Yeah. The first factor, if there is a specific need, for an example, now we are working with another project. I mean, to be more example-based outcome. Yeah. So we are working with a project for command center in one of the Ministry of Health in certain country here in the Middle East and Africa. And the idea was that we want to have a command center. But as of now, there is no clear definition of command center, how it look like, how AI would be integrated in that. So in such cases, we do see that there are certain our product portfolio that is also part of our R&D pipeline, that this is something, an area that we are now, or we envision to do this. But of course, we see that there are certain areas that is beyond our, let's say, pipeline or the focus area. Then we look into these partnerships and try to create certain solutions together, because from Siemens Healthineers, if we launch a product, we definitely make sure it's having all the regulatory approvals, it is fully tested, and it's got all the level of accreditation that it should have. So that's another domain of partnership and the reason, yeah.
Sure. No, and speaking of partnerships, I think I'd love to also share a wonderful initiative that we are sort of leading. This is the AI for Good initiative with google.org. This is focused on improving health and well-being and health access, especially to the underserved communities in the UAE and Saudi, through accelerated adoption of AI. The way the initiative is structured is we have identified a few developmental organizations that work with some of the underrepresented groups, and we work to sort of extract AI challenges. A lot of the AI builders and the AI community has been upskilled on how do we really build for these challenges. The hope is through the AI adoption, some of these companies will be able to create solutions for more of the underserved populations in the region. So I'm fully with you that AI, especially the way we see now, the impact is only going to be accelerated when we do more collaborations, we do more partnerships. And I think that's the theme of this discussion, right?
Definitely.
And if I reflect back on a few minutes, what I hear from you, and feel free to fill in, is the value chain is important, the outcome focus is important. And from a Siemens lens, I think you reach out to the external world when you need to fill the gaps, either of data or of your customer access. And that's, I think, pretty much, if there are innovators and startup founders here, would you have a piece of advice or any words on how they could approach Siemens if they are working on something which is really disruptive in innovation?
I mean, we love to work with innovators and in startups as well. We do have in Siemens Healthineers a department that's called Technology Accelerator, and with the core purpose that how we can work with startups, how we can accelerate their business. So generally, it's on a more advanced level, maybe TRL level 4 and above. That's already having a POC and they have tested into the market. And then we try to see how we can match our portfolio with the portfolio of existing startup, and then try to scale up the solution. Because one problem what we have identified in the Middle East part as well, it's also about the scalability part, that how we can scale up the solution. And this is where from Siemens Healthineers, where we can really jump in, because we are having our global presence for more than 70 countries. And if the product portfolio is very much in line, then definitely we can scale it up to the next levels. Yeah. And if there are interesting startup, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to work with you. Yeah.
Amazing. On that note, we've got 7 minutes. We'll open it out to audience for Q&As if there are any questions that anyone has.
What is one limitation maybe that you faced in AI in healthcare, and what is one advice that you can give us to overcome it? I know there are a lot of limitations. We heard a lot today, but from your experience, also would love to hear it.
Yeah, I think that's a very critical question. Because if you don't know your problems, you cannot innovate. I totally understand, and it's a really good question. So there are, I would say, in terms of especially AI-based solutions, one of the key limitation is you need to have the right data. So it's garbage in, garbage out. So you need to have the right data, and not just the data, but how you have that data. Is it really annotated? Is it having the right annotation? Is it really structured in the right way? Or if you are having the data but you don't have the relevant information about the protocol that was followed to have that data, was it really fine? And especially in certain countries where there are clear restrictions of cross-border data transfer, that really limits. So sometimes you need to also think about how you can retrain your algorithms with the cross-border. So think about federated learning ecosystem. So AI itself cannot just do everything, but you need to think about different platforms, different services that in combination can address these challenges. But just to summarize, I would say focus on 4 A's. First being the affordability. Is the solution you are creating, is it affordable? And at the end of the day, if it's not affordable, it's not having the financial value, it will never go into the market. Next part is, do you have the accessibility? So do you have the access to the data set that you want to train? Next part, it would be more about the availability. So if you have this, can you scale it up? How many institutions can avail this, or how many users can avail this? Last but not the least is also acceptability. Is it culturally acceptable, the solution? Do you have the regulatory acceptance? Do you have the legal acceptance? So these are 4 A's that one should always consider.
Thank you.
And on that note, I think one of the other observations that we have seen from the incubation programs that we run is many of the founders come with really strong AI models. They may also have good data, but AI models and data is also not the whole product, right? A lot of times in healthcare, workflow becomes the product. So you may have a good data, but if your workflows between your lab, your hospitals, your startups are not full, I think oftentimes the business value is created in the workflows, in the customer networks, underpinned by, of course, the tech. So just having tech and data is not enough,
Yeah.
right? So great. We do have time for one more question.
How do you evaluate if a problem is actually the right problem?
That's, I think, one of the core of any solution, if it's AI or also another solution. What's happening is, like we innovators or like startups, we want to use AI as a tool, not to address a certain challenge, but we have AI, now let's try to find a problem we can fit in. That's really not the right approach. So one very important part is where we should invest is what are the, let's say, if we talk about healthcare, so what is the challenge you are solving? So what is the clinical, let's say, need for particular solution? Not focus on as an outcome that this is an efficiency I can have, but measure the impact. So what is the impact you can achieve with your solution?
Syed, thank you so much for being here. And such a pleasure to hear your insights. We're more than happy to engage with you more as we go.
Thank you so much for having me, Ashwin, here. And it's really let's say, a good environment we are having here, where we are promoting, let's say, how we can convert challenges into opportunities. So I'll close with one last statement and giving a one concrete example about converting challenges into an opportunity. So in the Middle East part that we have seen, again, data, as you were saying, it's one of the challenge. But how we looked into this is, okay, cross-border data transfer is a challenge. But then how we overcome it, we deployed a solution called Federated Learning Ecosystem, WHX. And through this, all the startups, all the innovators can train their algorithms without sending the data or without transferring the data. So you have your algorithm, you send the algorithm to a central server where it will be trained, and then you get the trained result back. So basically, you don't need the transfer of data. So my point is, there are different ways of getting the solutions implemented. There will be some barriers, there will be some challenges, but it's us as an innovator, as an expert, we need to see what are the possible ways, what are the partnerships sometimes you need to do to evolve, yeah, and then also to scale up and the business impact part.
Rightly, where there are challenges, there will be opportunities. So again, thank you so much for leading from the front and making sure that the ecosystem really as a whole becomes innovative.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.